The massive space station hung in the void like a glittering city. Council Station Alpha was the largest structure ever built by alien hands. Ships from 12 different worlds docked at its ports. Inside the main meeting hall, representatives from across the galaxy gathered for what should have been simple trade talks. Ambassador Lee Sung-ho walked into the chamber with calm steps. Behind him came Captain Park Ji-won, a woman with sharp eyes who never missed danger. Dr. Kim Nari followed last, carrying her data pad and scanner. She studied alien behavior the way others studied books. The human delegation took their seats at the curved table. Around them sat creatures that looked like nightmares and dreams mixed together. Some had scales, others had fur. A few glowed with their own light. But all of them looked at the humans with the same expression, like they were looking at insects. Finally, said Thosakar, the Valkyrian delegate. His voice sounded like grinding metal. The primitives have arrived. Lee Sung-ho kept his face blank. Years of diplomatic training had taught him to hide his feelings, but Park Ji-won's hand moved closer to her weapon. Kim Nari simply watched and took notes. High Counselor Vraxis stood up. He was tall and thin, with skin like gray stone. When he spoke, his voice filled the room. We call this meeting to order. Today we discuss trade agreements between the Council races and Earth. The way he said Earth made it sound dirty. The humans request expanded trading rights, Vraxis continued. They want access to more shipping lanes. They want to sell their goods in more systems. They even want to build stations in Council space. Murmurs filled the room. Some aliens clicked their tongues. Others made hissing sounds. None of them sounded happy. Counselor Zeth Mara spoke next. She had 4 arms and bright blue skin. The humans forget their place. They are new to space. They know nothing of our ancient ways. We have been traveling between stars for 3,000 years, said another delegate. Humans learned to fly between planets only 200 years ago. They are children playing with adult tools. Lee Sung-ho finally spoke. His voice was quiet but clear. We may be new to space travel, but we learn quickly. Our technology works well, our traders are honest, our ships are safe. Thosakar laughed. The sound was like breaking glass. Your ships are jokes. We have seen your fastest vessels. They are slow and ugly. Our cargo ships move faster than your warships. Park Ji-won's jaw tightened. She had commanded some of those ships. She knew how good they really were. Your weapons are primitive, continued another alien. Your shields are weak. Your computers are simple toys compared to ours. Dr. Kim Nari looked up from her scanner. Something interesting was happening. The aliens were not just being rude. They were working together. Their body language showed coordination. This was planned. Perhaps, said Vraxis with a cold smile, the humans should accept a more limited role. Associate membership instead of full membership. Restricted trading rights. Supervised expansion. You mean second-class citizenship, said Lee Sung-ho. We mean appropriate placement, replied Zeth Mara. Every species must know where they belong in the galactic order. The room fell quiet. The humans looked at each other. They had expected some pushback, but this was different. This was humiliation. Park Ji-won leaned forward. We came here in good faith. We offered fair deals. We brought gifts and friendship. And you treat us like beggars. Because that is what you are, said Thosakar. Your whole species depends on our goodwill. Without us, you would be trapped in your little solar system forever. More aliens joined in. They listed every human weakness they could think of. Short lifespans, small population, limited resources, backward technology, no major victories in war, no great monuments in space. Dr. Kim Nari watched her scanner carefully. The aliens' stress levels were actually high. Their aggressive behavior was hiding something, fear maybe, or uncertainty. Why would they fear humans? Your terraforming projects are failures, said one delegate. Your quantum computers are broken toys. Your medical science is guesswork. Park Ji-won stood up suddenly. Her chair scraped against the floor. That's enough. Captain, warned Lee Sung-ho. But Park Ji-won was angry now. You want to talk about medical science? Human doctors saved 3 billion Altarian lives during the plague outbreak. You want to talk about computers? Human quantum networks carry 60% of galactic communications. You want to talk about terraforming? We turned 12 dead worlds into gardens. Accidents, said Vraxis dismissively. Lucky guesses. And your defense fleets? Park Ji-won's voice rose. Who protects your trade routes? Who stops the pirates? Who keeps the peace when border disputes get hot? The Council Defense Force, replied Vraxis. Led by human officers, Park Ji-won shot back. Using human tactics, protected by human shield technology. The room went very quiet. The aliens looked uncomfortable now. Dr. Kim Nari's scanner was going crazy. Fear levels were spiking across all species. They knew Park Ji-won was telling the truth. Lee Sung-ho sensed the mood changing. We didn't come here to argue about the past. We came to plan the future. A future where all species work together as equals. Equals? Zethmara's voice was sharp. You think you are our equals? I think we are partners, said Lee Sung-ho carefully. Partners are chosen, said Vraxis. You were not chosen, you simply arrived, like weeds growing in a garden. That was the final insult. Even Lee Sung-ho's diplomatic training had limits. Dr. Kim Nari stood up slowly. She had been quiet through most of the meeting, but now she looked directly at Vraxis. You're afraid of us. Afraid? Vraxis laughed, but it sounded forced. Of you? Yes, said Kim Nari simply. Your biosigns show it, all of you. You're terrified that we don't need you as much as you need us. The aliens started talking at once. Voices rose in anger and denial. But Kim Nari just smiled and packed her scanner away. Lee Sung-ho looked around the room one last time. 12 species, all united in their contempt for humanity. All working together to put humans in their place. All convinced that they held the power in this relationship. I think, said Lee Sung-ho quietly, we need a break. He stood up and walked toward the door. Park Ji-won and Kim Nari followed him. Behind them, the aliens kept talking, their voices getting louder and more excited. As they left the chamber, Park Ji-won asked, What now? Lee Sung-ho looked back at the closed doors. Through the thick metal, they could still hear the aliens celebrating their victory. Now, said Lee Sung-ho, we make some decisions. Dr. Kim Nari nodded. They think they just won something. Did they? Asked Park Ji-won. Lee Sung-ho smiled, but it was not a happy smile. We'll see. The three humans walked down the corridor toward their quarters. Behind them, the council continued their meeting, making plans for humanity's diminished future. They were so busy celebrating that they didn't notice the human ships outside starting to move into new formations. Change was coming to the galaxy. The council just didn't know it yet. The human quarters on Council Station Alpha were small and basic. The aliens had given them the cheapest rooms available. Lee Sung-ho didn't care about comfort right now. He paced back and forth while Park Ji-won sat at the table, her fists clenched, tight. Dr. Kim Nari connected her scanner to the main computer. Data flowed across the screen in streams of numbers and charts. Her face grew more serious with each passing minute. Tell me what you found, said Lee Sung-ho. Kim Nari pointed at the screen. Look at these stress patterns. Every single alien delegate showed the same responses at the same times. They practiced this meeting before we arrived. Practiced? Park. Ji-won looked up sharply. All 12 species coordinated their attack on us. They planned every insult, every demand, every humiliation. This wasn't a negotiation. It was a trap. Lee Sung-ho stopped pacing. A trap for what purpose? To force us into accepting whatever they offer, Kim Nari explained. They want to make us so desperate that we'll take any deal, no matter how bad. Park Ji-won slammed her hand on the table. Those lying, scheming, Captain, Lee Sung-ho warned. No, sir. I'm tired of being polite to people who spit on us. Park Ji-won stood up. They think we need them more than they need us. Maybe. It's time to test that theory. Lee Sung-ho looked at his two companions. These were good people, Smart people. People who had served Earth faithfully for years. If they were angry, maybe anger was the right response. "What are you suggesting?" he asked. Park Ji-won smiled, but it wasn't a nice smile. "I'm suggesting we leave, not just the meeting, everything. All our trade deals, all our partnerships, all our joint projects, let's see how well they do without us." "That would be extreme," said Lee Sung-ho. "So was what they did to us in there," Kim Nari added quietly. "They made their choice. Maybe we should make ours." Lee Sung-ho walked to the window. Outside, he could see human ships floating in space near the station. Transport vessels, cargo haulers, and escort ships. But he knew there were more ships out there, ships the aliens couldn't see. "Do we have the authority to make such a decision?" he asked. Park Ji-won pulled out her communication device. "I can have Admiral Choi Min-sik on a secure line in 5 minutes. If Earth Command agrees, we can be gone by tomorrow." Lee Sung-ho thought about the meeting. The laughing aliens, the planned insults, the coordinated attack on human dignity. Then he thought about Earth and all the human colonies. Billions of people depending on him to make the right choice. "Make the call," he said. Park Ji-won's fingers flew over her device. Within minutes, Admiral Choi Min-sik's face appeared on the screen. He was a serious man with gray hair and sharp eyes. Behind him, Lee Sung-ho could see the bridge of a warship. "Ambassador," the Admiral said. "I heard the meeting went badly." "That's an understatement, Admiral. They want to reduce us to second-class citizens. They planned the whole thing as a coordinated attack." Admiral Choi's face darkened. "Planned by all 12 species?" "Every single one," confirmed Kim Nari. "The evidence is clear." The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke carefully. "What are you requesting, Ambassador?" "Permission to withdraw from all Council agreements and return to Earth space immediately." "All agreements? That's a big step." Park Ji-won leaned forward. "Admiral, they treated us like beggars, like children, like we should be grateful for their scraps." "And if we leave," Kim Nari added, "we'll learn very quickly who really needs whom." Admiral Choi nodded slowly. "I'll need to speak with Earth. Command, can you give me 1 hour?" "Of course," said Lee Sung-ho. The connection ended. The 3 humans sat in silence, thinking about what they had just set in motion. 57 minutes later, Park Ji-won's device chimed. Admiral Choi appeared again, but this time he wasn't alone. Behind him stood other officers, and Lee Sung-ho could see more ships through the bridge windows. "Ambassador," the Admiral said formally, "Earth Command has considered your request. We agree with your assessment. You are authorized to withdraw all human presence from Council space effective immediately." Lee Sung-ho felt a weight lift from his shoulders. "Thank you, Admiral." "There's more," Admiral Choi continued. "We're sending additional ships to ensure safe evacuation of all human civilians. Commander Yoon Hae-jin is coordinating civilian transport. She'll contact you within the hour." "How many ships are we talking about?" asked Park Ji-won. Admiral Choi smiled grimly. "Enough." The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. Commander Yoon Hae-jin arrived with a small fleet of transport ships. Human civilians living on Council worlds received encrypted messages telling them to pack immediately. Human businesses got orders to close their doors and prepare for evacuation. Dr. Kim Nari worked with the civilian coordinators, making sure no one was left behind. Park Ji-won organized the security details, ensuring everyone would leave safely. Lee Sung-ho prepared his final message to the Council. As the evacuation continued, more human ships arrived. The aliens on Council Station Alpha began to notice. Their communications buzzed with confused chatter. "Why are so many human ships here?" asked one alien captain. "Probably more trade vessels," replied another. "Humans always bring too many ships." They had no idea what was really happening. By the end of the day, every human civilian in Council space had been contacted. Every human business had closed its doors. Every human research station had shut down its projects. The evacuation would take 3 days, but the message was already clear. Humanity was leaving. On the final day, Lee Sung-ho stood on the bridge of Admiral Choi's flagship. Through the massive windows, he could see hundreds of human ships. Some he recognized: cargo vessels, passenger liners, research ships. Others were new to him: sleek warships with strange designs and powerful weapons. "Admiral," he asked quietly, "how many ships do we really have?" Admiral Choi looked out at the fleet. "More than the Council knows, much more." Park Ji-won joined them at the window. "They're going to be surprised." "Good," said Kim Nari, who had been monitoring alien communications. "They deserve a few surprises." The time had come for Lee Sung-ho's final message. He walked to the communication station and opened a channel to Council Station Alpha. Every alien delegate would hear this. "High Counselor Vraxis," he began. "This is Ambassador Lee Sung-ho of Earth. I am speaking to inform the Council that humanity is withdrawing from all pending negotiations, trade agreements, and cooperative ventures, effective immediately." He paused, letting that sink in. "We came to your Council seeking partnership and equality. Instead, you offered us subordination and contempt. You made your position very clear. We have made ours equally clear." Another pause. "When you are ready to treat humanity as equals, you know where to find us. Until then, Earth wishes you well with your galactic hierarchy." He closed the channel. Within minutes, frantic calls came from the Council. Vraxis himself demanded to speak with Lee Sung-ho. The ambassador ignored them all. "Signal the fleet," Admiral Choi ordered. "All ships, prepare for departure." The massive human fleet began to move. Ship after ship disappeared into hyperspace, carrying away everything and everyone that made humanity part of galactic civilization. The last ship to leave was Admiral Choi's flagship. As it prepared to jump to hyperspace, Lee Sung-ho took one final look at Council Station Alpha. The aliens were still trying to call him, still demanding explanations, still not understanding what they had lost. "Goodbye," he said quietly. The ship jumped to hyperspace, leaving behind only empty space and very worried aliens. High Counselor Vraxis sat in his private office, staring at reports that made no sense. 3 days had passed since the humans left, and everything was falling apart. Trade Coordinator Velneth burst through the door without knocking. His usually calm face showed panic. "Counselor, we have serious problems." "Speak," Vraxis ordered. 17 major shipping routes are blocked by pirates. The cargo ships are too scared to travel without protection. "Send our patrol ships," Vraxis said. "Simply, we did. They were destroyed. The pirates have new weapons we've never seen before." Vraxis frowned. "Where are the human patrol fleets?" Velneth looked confused. "Gone, sir. They left with everyone else." For the first time, Vraxis realized what that meant. Human ships had protected Council trade routes for decades. No one had bothered to replace them because they did such a good job. Intelligence Director Korthax entered the office carrying a data pad. His face was grim. "Counselor, I have the analysis you requested." "What analysis?" "You asked me to review human involvement in Council operations." Korthax set down the pad. "The results are disturbing." Vraxis picked up the device. Numbers and charts filled the screen. The more he read, the more worried he became. "Explain this," he demanded. "Human quantum relays carry 90% of our long-distance communications," Korthax said. "Without them, it takes 6 hours to send a message between sectors instead of 6 minutes. What else? Human medical technology keeps 4 species healthy. The treatments they developed are the only thing preventing massive population decline among our allies." Vraxis kept reading. The list went on and on. Human agricultural techniques fed billions of people across dozens of worlds. Human computers ran the Council's banking system. Human engineers maintained the station's power grid. "How did we not know this?" Vraxis asked. "Because they never complained," Korthax replied. "They just did the work quietly and efficiently. We took it for granted." Captain Roxavane of the Council Defense Fleet appeared on the communication screen. His reptilian face showed worry. "Counselor, we have another problem." "What now?" "Long-range sensors show something strange in human space. All their systems have gone dark." "Dark? You mean abandoned?" "No, sir. Shielded." They're using some kind of technology that blocks our sensors completely. We can't see anything happening in their territory. Dr. Thexlan, the Council's chief strategist, had been listening quietly. Now he spoke up. This is worse than we thought. How so? If humans needed us, they would be begging to come back by now. Instead, they're building walls. That suggests they don't need us at all. Counselor Vritika, who had been quiet during the human negotiations, finally found her voice. What if we made a mistake? The room fell silent. No one wanted to answer that question. Impossible, Vraxis said, but his voice lacked confidence. Humans are primitive. They depend on us for everything. Do they? Asked Thexlan. Our own analysis shows they were supporting us more than we were supporting them. More reports came in over the following days. Food shortages on 12 worlds. Communication breakdowns across 3 sectors. Pirates attacking ships with impunity. 3 minor wars that should have been prevented by human peacekeepers. The Council had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They were used to problems, but they always had solutions. Now, for the first time in centuries, they faced problems they couldn't solve, and the humans were nowhere to be found. 3 weeks after humanity's departure, Vraxis made a decision he never thought he would make. The Council needed to know what the humans were doing. Captain Yildar, he said to his best spy ship commander, I have a mission for you. Captain. Yildar was a professional. His species had been gathering intelligence for the Council for centuries. Nothing surprised him anymore. What are your orders, Counselor? Take your stealth fleet to human space, find out what they're doing, and find out if they're willing to talk. Yildar nodded. How many ships? 5. Your best ones. Stay hidden and gather information only. The stealth fleet left that same day. They were invisible to most sensors and fast enough to escape any trap. Yildar had used them to spy on dozens of species over the years. But humans were different. The journey to human space took 2 days. As they approached the border, sensor operator Quezalan noticed something strange. Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures ahead. From what? Unknown. The patterns don't match anything in our database. They moved closer to the first human system. What they saw made everyone on the bridge stop talking. Every human world was surrounded by orbital defense platforms, huge metal structures that bristled with weapons and sensors. Mining operations covered moons that had been barren rock just months before. And ships, so many ships that Quezalan couldn't count them all. Are those all warships? Asked technical analyst Morgoth. Some are, Quezalan replied. But I'm seeing designs I don't recognize. Energy signatures that shouldn't be possible. Captain Yildar tried to establish communication with the humans. A polite message appeared on his screen from Director O. Kyungsu of Human Border Security. Council vessels are not authorized in human space. Please depart immediately. Yildar sent back a diplomatic response. We request permission to speak with human leadership about resuming negotiations. The reply came quickly. The Council made their position clear. Humanity has adjusted accordingly. Please leave. Yildar decided to risk moving deeper into human space. His stealth systems were the best in the galaxy. Surely he could gather more information without being detected. He was wrong. Within minutes of crossing the border, Human Defense Corps ships appeared around his fleet. Commander Baek In-ho's voice came over the communication system. Council vessels, you are in violation of human space. You will be escorted to the border immediately. Yildar looked at his sensors in shock. The human ships had appeared from nowhere. His stealth systems should have made detection impossible. How did they find us? Whispered Morgoth. The human escort ships were unlike anything in the Council database. They moved with impossible grace and speed. When Morgoth tried to scan them, his equipment simply refused to lock on. It's like they're not entirely there, he reported, his voice shaking. Commander Baek In-ho was professionally polite but absolutely firm. Gentlemen, you have 30 seconds to begin moving toward the border. Yildar had no choice. His fleet was outnumbered and outmatched by technology he didn't understand. As they retreated, Quezalan managed one final sensor sweep. What he found terrified him more than the mysterious ships. "Captain, there are species in human space that aren't in our records." "What do you mean?" "Ships flying flags I've never seen. Alien designs that don't match any known races. The humans have made new allies." The journey back to Council space seemed to take forever. When they finally arrived, Yildar delivered his report to Vraxis with a heavy heart. "Counselor, we made a terrible mistake." "Explain." "The humans weren't dependent on us. We were dependent on them. And now they're building something new. Something we're not part of." Vraxis stared at the reconnaissance data. Orbital defenses that made Council military bases look primitive. Ships with technology decades ahead of anything the Council possessed. New alien allies that humanity had found somewhere, in the unknown regions of space. "They were holding back," Yildar continued. "All those years humanity was holding back their real capabilities." "That's impossible," Vraxis said weakly. "Is it? Think about it, Counselor. They learned space travel in 200 years. We took thousands. They went from flying primitive rockets to building faster-than-light ships in the span of a few generations. What if their rapid advancement never stopped?" The truth was becoming clear, and it was worse than anyone had imagined. 2 months after humanity's withdrawal, the galactic economy was in freefall. Economic advisor Genthar stood before the full council with reports that painted a picture of complete disaster. "Trade is down 40%, he announced. Interstellar. Crime has increased by 300%. We have food shortages on 12 worlds and communication breakdowns affecting billions of citizens." The council chamber was quieter than it had ever been. These were beings who had ruled the galaxy. For millennia, they were used to power, used to control, used to having solutions for every problem. Now they had nothing. "What about our defense fleets?" asked Counselor Zethmara. Captain Roxavane answered grimly. "Spread too thin. Without human patrol ships and peacekeepers, we can't cover all our territory. 3 new wars have started in sectors that humans used to protect." "Surely we can negotiate with someone," suggested another counselor. "With whom?" Genthar replied. "Our traditional allies are asking the same question we are. Where are the humans? Some of them blame us for humanity's departure." High Counselor Vraxis had aged years in just 2 months. The weight of his mistakes was crushing him. "We need to contact Earth," he said finally. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some counselors agreed. Others were too proud to admit their error. A few still believed humans would come crawling back eventually. "Who would go?" asked Fritika. "After what we did, they might not even listen." Ambassador Kretok stood up slowly. He was old, even by his species' standards, and had served the council faithfully for decades. "I will go," he said simply. "That could be a death sentence," warned Vraxis. "Then I will die with honor," Kretok replied. "It is the least I can do to repair the damage we have caused." 3 days later, Kretok's diplomatic ship approached the Sol system. He expected to find human patrol ships or defense platforms. What he found was something that defied imagination. Earth's solar system had been transformed into a fortress. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid was surrounded by defensive installations. Ships moved in patterns that hurt to look at, formations so complex and precise that they seemed like living things. And in the center of it all, a massive space station that dwarfed even Council Station Alpha. Fleet Admiral Song Woo-jin met Kretok's ship personally. His vessel was easily 10 times larger than anything in the Council fleet, and it moved with impossible grace. "Ambassador Kretok," Admiral Song said when they established communication. "Welcome to Sol System, though I must ask why you're here." Kretok had practiced his speech for the entire journey. "Admiral, I come to request new negotiations between the Council and humanity. We realize we may have been hasty in our previous discussions." Admiral Song smiled, but it wasn't a cruel smile. It was sad, like he was looking at a broken toy. "Ambassador, the Council made their position very clear. You wanted to establish a hierarchy with humans at the bottom. We have accepted that position and adjusted accordingly. But surely we can find some middle ground. There is no middle ground, Admiral Song interrupted gently. You had your chance for partnership. You chose dominance instead. Now you have what you wanted, a galaxy without human interference. Through his ship's view screen, Kretok could see the transformed solar system. Human worlds were green and beautiful, protected by technology that seemed almost magical. And there were other ships there, vessels flying flags he had never seen, representing species the Council had never encountered. You found new allies, he said quietly. We found equals, Admiral Song corrected. Species that were willing to treat us with respect. Species that wanted partnership instead of hierarchy. The galaxy is falling apart without you, Kretok pleaded. That is unfortunate, Admiral Song replied, but it is not our problem anymore. Surely you must feel some responsibility. For what? For the mess you made after driving us away? Admiral Song's voice became firmer. Ambassador, let me be very clear. Humanity offered friendship, partnership, and cooperation. The Council responded with contempt, manipulation, and demands for submission. He paused, letting that sink in. You wanted to know humanity's place in your galactic hierarchy. Now you do. We're not part of it anymore. Admiral Song gestured toward the view screen. Look around you, Ambassador. This is what humans build when we're not wasting time with species that don't respect us. This is what we accomplish when we work with true partners instead of would-be masters. Kretok saw ships bearing the symbols of dozens of species he didn't recognize. All of them working together. All of them treating each other as equals. The Terran Federation extends its wishes for prosperity to the Galactic Council, Admiral, Song said formally. We're sure you'll manage just fine without us. As Kretok's ship was escorted back to Council space, he realized the terrible truth. The Council hadn't just lost humanity's cooperation, they had driven them to build something better. Back on Council Station Alpha, Kretok delivered his report to a silent chamber. They don't need us, he said simply. They never did. And now they have new partners who treat them as equals. High Counselor Vraxis sat in his chair like a broken statue. Around him, the greatest powers in the galaxy faced the consequences of their arrogance. They had gained nothing and lost everything. And in the vast darkness between stars, humanity was building a new future, one the Council would never be invited to join. The age of Council dominance was over. The age of human partnership with worthy allies had begun. And there was no going back.